In this ACT video, we're going to take a look at linear equations. A linear equation basically names the line. Here I've got the line y equals 2x minus 3. That's the name of this line that we've graphed right here. Now, this equation, y equals 2x minus 3, is in what we call slope-intercept form. There's actually several ways to write a linear equation. Personally, I like slope-intercept form the best. It's the easiest way to graph, it's the most efficient, and it's quite common. So before we look at slope-intercept form, let's take a look at some others. Here is the standard form of an equation of a line, and generally speaking, we would write that as ax plus by equals c, where a and b are just coefficients. So here's some examples. Also, that first term does need to be positive. So here are some examples. X plus 2y equals 8. Maybe 4x minus 3y equals 12. 7x plus y equals 1. These are all in standard form, and you may be familiar with actually rearranging these terms so that it is solved for y. That's what I would recommend doing. So just to show you real quick on this first one, you might want to subtract your x over, giving you 2y equals negative x plus 8, and then dividing each piece by 2, and then it's y is equal to negative 1/2 x plus 4. That's a pretty common practice, to take your equation that's in standard form and solve it for y. Another form is point-slope form. Here we've got y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. This one's handy because it's easy to identify the slope, and then x1, y1 is just a point on the graph. So here's an example. Y minus 3 equals 1/2 times x minus 4. The slope is 1/2, and the point on the graph, that's your y1, that's your x1, so the point would be 4, 3. Okay, and then over here, your slope is negative 6 when we look at y plus 1 equals negative 6 times x plus 2. And because the signs have changed, it's the opposite of what you see. That's your y1 and that's your x1. So the point is negative 2 comma negative 1. Okay? So it's the opposite of what you see, because if you were to plug that negative 1 back in, it would be y minus negative 1, which is why it changed to a plus. Okay? This one's not quite as common. The most commonly used, though, and what we're going to look at in more detail, is slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. M, of course, is the slope. We talked about slope in a previous video, lowercase m. And the b represents your y-intercept, which is where the graph is crossing the y-axis. So here are two equations. Y equals 3x minus 5. You can easily look at that and determine the slope is 3, and the y-intercept is negative 5. And you might want to write that as the ordered pair, 0, negative 5. That's the y-intercept. This equation, y equals negative 2/3 x plus 1, the slope is negative 2/3, and the y-intercept is 1, or you might want to write that as 0, 1, because it's graphed on the y-axis. This makes graphing very easy, and you can do it very quickly. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few graphs. All right, we just looked at this example, y equals 3x minus 5. It's in slope-intercept form. I would identify the slope, which is 3, and we're going to go ahead and put that over 1. Just like we mentioned in the previous video about slope, when we're graphing, we're going to use rise over run. Okay, we're going to use rise over run. And then our y-intercept is negative 5, or we might want to write that as 0, negative 5. Okay, if you write it as an ordered pair, I think you're less likely to plot it incorrectly. Okay, so to get started, we have to have a starting point. So you want to first plot your y-intercept. Okay, so we've got the point 0, -5. It's always going to start on the y-axis because it's the y-intercept. Always start on the y-axis. Then the second step is to use your rise over run. So from your starting point, our rise is 3, so we go up 3, and the run is 1, so we go right 1. Rise again 3, 1, 2, 3, right 1. You could do this all day long. Rise 3, 1, 2, 3, right 1. And you can look at that and tell that that's going to make a line. So really kind of step back and look at it, because if you made a mistake, you can catch it before you connect your dots. So now we're ready to connect the dots, make a nice long line. Let's see if we can get those dots connected good there. Awesome. And then of course we want to have some arrowheads on that because lines go on forever. And if you want to get really fancy, we can write the name of that line right next to it, y equals 3x minus 5. Now, an easy way to eliminate answer choices, since we are reviewing for the ACT, positive slopes lean up and to the right. So if you had an answer choice that looked like this, that has a negative slope. And so we would know to immediately eliminate that. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're taking a multiple choice test. Let's take a look at another one. Here we have the equation y equals -2/3 x plus 1. It's in slope-intercept form, so we want to identify our slope, which is -2/3, and our y-intercept is 1, or I would recommend writing it as 0, 1. Okay, we have to have a starting point, so we have to plot 0, 1 first. Now, because we have a negative slope, we're going to rise 2, and this time we're going to go to the left 3. And because of the negative, we go to the left. Positive, go to the right. So from our starting point, we're going to rise 2, up 1, 2, and left 3. 1, 2, 3. We can do it again. Rise 2, 1, 2, left 3. 1, 2, 3. You can actually do the exact opposite if it doesn't confuse you. Then you can go back to your starting point. Instead of going up and to the left, the exact opposite would be going down and to the right. So down 2, 1, 2, right 3, 1, 2, 3. Down 2, 1, 2, right 3, 1, 2, 3. Looks like a line to me, so I'm going to go ahead and connect the dots. Nice long line. And let's get some arrowheads on there because it does go on forever. And you can see that one leans up and to the left, so it has a negative slope. Okay, let's take a look at this one. Y equals -x plus 6. Identify your slope, which is -1. Don't forget there's a coefficient of 1 there. So it's -1. You might want to put that over 1 because we need a rise and a run piece. And your y-intercept is 6, or we'll write it as 0, 6. Start by graphing your point, 0, 6. And we have a negative slope, so we're going to go left. So we're going to rise 1, left 1, rise 1, left 1. And we kind of ran out of graphs, so we need to be able to do the opposite. So instead of going up 1, left 1, we can also go down 1, right 1. Down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. I think that's plenty of dots. It looks like a straight line to me. So we'll connect them. Nice long straight line. Hopefully you have a straight edge. And get some arrowheads on there because lines go on forever. And that is the equation y equals -x plus 6. So just to kind of recap, if the slope is positive, it goes up and to the right. If the slope is negative, it goes up and to the left. And in the previous video, specifically about slope, we also mentioned slope of 0 is a horizontal line, and an undefined slope is like, oh, trying to walk up the wall. We can't do that, so it's a vertical line. So that's an easy way to look at the direction of the line and maybe eliminate some of your answer choices.